Good morning, guys. This is teacher María Milagros. And this video is what I am recording to show you what we did last Friday in class. We saw the topic of choice and the paged decision-making guide. And I am also going to explain the homework for those of you who have any questions regarding that. So let's start. A quick review. We finished off last class with this pending question: how is choice relevant to economics? A lot of you gave very, very good answers, and they can all be framed within the most concise answer that there is to this question, integrating everything we have seen so far since we started the school year. The answer is that economics teaches us that scarcity implies decision making. Remember when we studied the definition of economics that we said that economics is a study of how people, when faced with scarcity, are engaged in economic choice or rational decision making to blah, blah, blah. Well, that is exactly what this is answering. Scarcity, which is the main problem that economics deals with, implies decision making. Why? Because we do not have enough of a limited resource. This resource could be time, could be space, could be resources themselves like money, supplies, food, whatever. But there is not a limited resource to satisfy everyone's wants and needs when there is scarcity. So when some of you mentioned that, well, depending on what I buy, that might affect my budget, or maybe when a company needs to find out if the way they're doing things is viable or it's not, that is here because they don't have enough money. Or maybe you are trying to be as wise as possible with the amount of money that you have. It's not that you have too little, but still, it implies decision making. So today's class is going to be focused on this decision making. How do we make choices? What makes us choose? And what is the best method, or a very smart method for us to make objective choices? This is what we're going to do. We had a brief debate about what choices are the easiest and the hardest to make. At the end of the day, we found out that the easiest are the ones that you either, or in which you either one, have two options, only two options, or the ones that are related to things that you want to do. Like, do I want to get up today? No, yes. Do I have to? Yes. Okay, therefore I need to get up. What do I want to eat? Or I just want to eat pasta and broccoli. Okay, that's it, you eat it. But what happens when you have a lot of choices? For example, when you decide to leave the country, it's like, okay, where am I going to go? You have a variety of options. What am I going to do with my family? What's going to happen to my friends? What's going to happen to, I don't know, my pets, my life here? You have a lot of choices, a lot of questions to answer. And that is the topic of this lesson: how to narrow down and how to select between all the possible alternatives that we have, what is best for us. This lesson, then, is designed to teach us how to apply the economic way of thinking in making decisions. What we must be aware of is that every choice has costs and it has also benefits. Costs are things unfavorable to a decision maker. For example, this was a bit controversial, but this is an example that I chose. Imagine that I bought takeout food with a delivery service, but I didn't heat it because I was lazy, knowing that perhaps the person who cooked it, even though he had protection, for example, imagine that the person has COVID and the COVID got into the food and I didn't heat it, and therefore the COVID wasn't killed by the heat. Then the food might have COVID-19 and heat didn't kill it. That is my cost. Why? Because if the food has COVID, I'm going to get sick. That is a cost of that decision. In a benefit side of things, for example, a benefit is anything that is favorable to a decision, think of it as a plus sign. When with this same example, if I buy takeout food with delivery service and I take the time to heat it, although I will have to wait a bit, I am sure I am eating food free of virus. Okay, so in here you have an example of a cost or a benefit. I decided not to study for the test. What is my benefit? Oh, I have free time in order to do whatever I want to do. What is my cost? That I might end up failing. Okay, so you need to be aware that every choice has costs and benefits. The third thing that every choice has is an outcome. The outcome is like the result. Sometimes the outcome is obvious. However, sometimes choices have outcomes that are not fully recognized until later in the future. For example, an outcome that is obvious in a decision is, do I charge my phone? Yes, no. If my phone has 1% of battery and I don't charge it, the outcome is obvious. My phone is going to turn itself off and I will not be allowed to turn it on until I charge it. But a decision that, for example, may not give me clarity on the result itself is, for instance, choosing between two career paths. I will not know to the full extent if I like it or not until I have studied for a period of time. For example, imagine that I had, or in my case, I had medicine and I had modern languages. What did I do? I started with modern languages. I did not know that I was actually going to like this career. And when the time came that I had to go to switch to medicine, I said, no, I'm going to stay in modern languages. Was I making the right decision? In that moment, I didn't know because I hadn't been in my career for a long period of time. I had been in for like 1 year and a half. I still had a long way to go. And I couldn't say, okay, when I finish this program, I am going to be sure that this is exactly what I want to do for a living. 4 years later, am happy with my decision. But in that moment, I didn't know. So you will not fully know if you like it or not until you have given a period of time towards that specific field or a sport or a hobby or whatever. So you need to be aware of this. Summarizing this, we see that in every choice, we must consider A, the costs, which are negative things, B, the benefits, positive things, and the outcome, which is your given result. There are situations that are a bit complex, like the one when you live in the country. However, there are also complex situations in everyday life. Take this situation into consideration. You're studying for a big test and you know that you need a good grade because you're struggling to maintain a passing grade. And it's like the last evaluation that you have. You have been told that you will lose all use of electronics if you don't make a good grade in this test. However, a friend calls you and has some great tickets to an event that is in town tonight, and you have really been wanting to go. So you have to weigh the costs and benefits of this decision that you're going to make. Are you going to go and risk failing and therefore not passing the subject, or are you going to study and miss the chance? You need first to identify costs and benefits, and this is what we do in this slide. We say, well, the benefits would be these, and the costs would include this, 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 and this. How do we solve this? Because there needs to be an objective way in which we can say, hey, I measured this, I took this into consideration, and considering all, I will choose this because it's the best for me. This is where the paced decision-making guide comes in. Why? Because it's a process, an objective process, where we can weigh or assess the costs and benefits of decisions by using this process that has 5 steps. I don't know if you remember the grammar class when we were studying compound sentences, that we studied an acronym that was called fanboys. Remember that each letter stood for a word? This is the exact same thing. You have paced, and each letter stands for one step. The P is for problem in step number 1, state the problem. The A is for alternatives. In the second step, list the alternatives. The C is for criteria and list important criteria to consider. The E is evaluate each alternative. And the D for decision, for deciding, for making a decision. I am going to explain each of these 5 steps just now. The first step is stating the problem. Problem, I want to make this clear, doesn't mean that it's bad. The problem is something that you need to solve. It can be good, it could be bad. It's the decision that you're trying to make. For example, it might be deciding on how to spend free time or where to go on a trip. Today, we're going to use the example of imagining that you just received $50 for Christmas, let's suppose, and you need to figure out what to do with that money. So that is your problem. What do I do with my money? What choices do I have? That leads us to step number 2, which is listing the alternatives. Alternatives are options, the options that we have in our decision. So let's say I have my $50 and I am trying to decide what my options are. My first option is that I really want to go to summer camp, but my mom said that I have to pay for half of the registration, that is $125. So this $50 could help me save to reach that goal of 125. I might also like to go to a movie or buy a new video game or buy new clothes. These are all alternatives, choices that you have to spend your money or what to do with your money. The third step is identifying the important criteria to consider. You might think this is tricky, but it's not. These are the points that are important to you in relation to the problem. For example, if you have $50 cash, you have to make a list of things that you might consider important in relation to how you're going to spend that money. For example, I would like to do something that is fun. Or I would like my $50 to go towards something that I have planned for a long time, or something that I want, or something that I can enjoy in the future, or something that would help me reach my saving goal of going to camp. These are all criteria, and they are also in the grid. And step number 4 is evaluating each alternative. It is super simple, okay? You look at each alternative, you're going to see it better now that I turn the slide. If the criteria is met by the alternative, you're going to put a plus sign. If it's not, a minus. And then you have to add the amount of positives that you have in a given alternative, and that will give you a total. Basically, let me turn and add a pointer here in laser. Yeah, this is my paced decision-making guide for this problem. What will I do with the $50 I just received? This is my problem right here. Then I listed the alternatives. What are my alternatives? All the options that I had. Savings account, going to the movies, buying a new video game, buying new clothes. I put them here. Now I put my criteria, which are the values important to me. I said fun, right? Then something I have planned for, wanted, and all of them are here. Now I am going to go each alternative. I'm going to compare to my criteria. Is putting in savings account fun? No, so I put a minus sign. However, is going out to eat and to the movies with my friends fun? Of course. So you put a plus sign in here. And so on. And at the end of the day, you're going to compare each alternative to each of these criteria. For example, buying a new video game. Can you enjoy it with your friends? Yes, so you put the plus sign here. You need to do that for every alternative and for every criteria in here. And at the end, you have the total, which will show you how many plus signs you have. In here, you had 3. In here, you have 2. In here, 4. And in here, you only had 1. So this is what you need to do. At the end of the day, you will have to answer 3 questions. And they are all involved with making a decision. If we add the plus signs, as we said before, you may find that one alternative has more benefits than the others. In this case, if the new video game receives 4 pluses, that might be your choice. If saving my money receives 3, then my next best choice would be saving it. That is called your opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is like the option that came in second place. Is the opportunity that you lost when you make a decision. It's not all of your alternatives, only the next best alternative. Think of it as the one that got in second place, and that's it. So when you get to the homework, which is here, point number 2, copying the class, and point number 3, complete the worksheet. I am going to show you right now the worksheet that you need to complete for Friday the 5th, February the 5th. This is your homework. What does your homework contain? First, a situation. Well, first instructions. I am giving you the problem, and the alternatives are within this text that you will find. You have to include the alternatives that are specified here, and that's it. But the criteria is yours to choose. You are free because this is an individual exercise and you are all different. Each of you considers different things or values other things that other people do not. If you want to add more criteria, feel free to do so. I have included 5 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you need to include more, feel free to do that. What doesn't move is the alternatives because they are given by the text. You have this text right here in which it's a beautiful Saturday morning in a post-COVID world and you are free for the afternoon. So you have all these alternatives in which to spend your evening and you need to decide. So you fill the guide and that is what you need to do. You put your criteria here and you evaluate here, plus, minus, minus, plus, whatever, and you add them. And then comparing the totals, you will make your choice. When you evaluate, what you need to do is this. Which alternative best meets my criteria? That means, what is the alternative that got the most plus signs? That is all. And then, what is my opportunity cost? Remember, opportunity cost is the one that came in second place, the second best alternative. And then your decision is going to be your best alternative. It should be. If it's different, you will need to specify why you're not choosing the one that's more evident. Okay, but that's all you need to do for this homework. As you can see, it's very simple, easy. And if you have any questions about it, you can contact me via the academia email. Love you guys.